Okay, great. Here we go. Yes, and if you see one that you want me to show back up because it expired, let me know and I'll get it for you. You see Jason Roberts on there. Did you see that, Benjamin? Hi.
No, hey, good to
Hey,
see you.
together we're better, and that's our motto. If you join Oregon Real Estate Investors Association, you are in it to win it. You will get quality education. All your monthly meetings are free. They're not $10 each time. You just log right on. You also get your own website that you're able to promote your properties and get leads through. It has great SEO rankings because we have like 500 subscribers. How much does it cost? Oh, I like to say, how much would you like to invest in your career, in your connections, in yourself, in your education, in your business? How about your great way of life? Becoming a real estate investor is work, but doing it together makes it so much better. A single person joins for $150 a year. A couple living together, $200 a year. Partnership not living together, $225. Small business, $300, which includes 3 people, and vendor membership is $450, and you get bragging rights and barkership rights. Oh, let me move my face so you can see. Did it work? A single monthly, if you want to just go monthly and take it and test drive it, it's $15 a month. All righty then, let's continue on. I might be skipping the next couple slides, I'm not sure. So this is a new software I'm trying out, this thing I'm doing. Oh, and I said you can get your listings online. You've probably seen the listings come to your email box, and watch for people's REIA memberships selling their contracts and selling their properties. Sometimes we sell them too fast that we don't get them on the website. I can say I'm guilty of that. If you're new into this real estate investing thing, would like to have somebody mentor you, I am offering my services at a price, but help you with direction, motivation, networking with the right people, that kind of stuff, getting advice, training. Let me know. My number's on the screen. You all probably know how to connect with me, but it's 554-4633. And I would be so happy to help out. I'll end up helping out one way or another. It's best that I'm helping out before you get in trouble. Let me just say that. We have a Facebook group, thanks to Saffron, who's here tonight. It's called Oregon REI Postings. Excuse me, Oregon REIA Postings, REIA. Postings. If you'd like to get in with us right now, I know there's postings on there that have not been answered, so we get on that. And moving along here, do you like my wheel? All right, I'm going to take a moment here to have everybody turn on your microphones as we come along. I'll call on you individually. We're going to do haves, yes, and wants. And I will start. I have a have.
Oh, no.
If you're all right with that. I have 2 deals I'm in contract on that I would like to sell. Each of them are single family homes. One is in Pendleton. I'm selling for a low price of $35,000. And one is in Oak Ridge. I think that one's $140,000, and they represent the values of their home. So if you're interested in rehabbing something on your own, I have a couple of wholesales I'd like to work with you on, and let me know. Go to the chat box and say, Grace, I'm interested in Pendleton, or I'm interested in Oak Ridge, or you're nuts, because you know I am nuts. And now I'm going to call on Scott Stewart, who was first on the meeting.
Thanks, Grace. I appreciate that. Hey, everybody. Scott Stewart, owner of Odorless, the odor eliminator, non-toxic, all organic, hypoallergenic. That's a $10 word itself. Takes away all of the stink out of your guys' houses. Nope, I'm not a house flipper. I'm not really an investor at this point, but here to support you guys. So nasty cat odors. like Saffron and Kevin have used the product, I think a few times now, underneath the house in the crawl space where cats have decided to turn that into their litter box. My product can come in and just knock that stuff out. No, you don't have to dig down 3 or 4 inches and haul all that dirt out. I can help you out with that stuff. Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you on the call.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, Michael Glass, you're up. Oh, Gail, you're gonna have to cover for him. Sorry, I'll go on to Jeanette. Come back to you next.
Hey everybody, Jeanette Montague here, Farmers Insurance. I insure specialty dwellings through Foremost, vacant, duplexes, Airbnb, tiny homes, flips, whatever you got, I can insure it. And I want a duplex. I want a duplex that I can live in half of it and rent out the other half. I really need to find me financing in a duplex.
So great. So everybody who has a duplex or will help her find it, go into the chat box and help her. All right, now I'm going back to Michael Glass and Gail and Kat. Please.
This is Kate. I'm not sure whether she's going to let us continue this meeting or not. But we currently have nothing and we're looking for another house. So
no, we have something. We have some money in the bank for a change.
Yeah, I'm guessing Pendleton's too far for you, right?
After laying around for January, we're looking at houses again now.
All right. I'm losing your audio. All right.
Who's
Going to Saffron and Kevin, speak up. Woo.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. Hi. We currently have 2 houses we're working on that were supposed to be on the market before now, but they're coming up soon. So if you're a realtor and you know somebody who's looking for a very tiny house or a house in the country, that's what we've got. What we want is an off-market deal that's a really good deal so we can start on our next house. Did you get that?
Yeah, sounds good. So maybe we'll be seeing that Veneta house in on February 24th. If you're
Maybe.
not
Or the 19 or the one in Springfield.
or
Either
the
one.
Or yeah, I really want to see the one in Veneta. So because
In Elmira, okay.
I mean
Well, it might be
Elmira, but
March.
you know, Elmira, Veneta. Yeah.
Same place.
Yeah, same high school,
It's
right?
in the country.
I think so.
So we have held that house way too long, but the good news is property values have gone really sky high since then. So hopefully it'll make up for some of the delays.
Awesome. All right, so you're looking for a deal as well. But I guess I can't interest
Yes.
you in Oak Ridge.
Oh, no.
It's like
Oak Ridge is,
A little too far. Too far.
yeah,
well,
among other things.
the comps are really good. So we looked through at them at the last deal deep dive, and they were really good. So that was great. Selling really fast,
Amazing, yeah.
selling in stays and that kind of stuff. So Brad Anderson, you're up.
Oh, up for what?
Your needs and haves and wants. Go back.
I'm wide awake.
There you go.
This
Haves and
time.
wants. That's where we're at.
Yes, I have some wants. I need to find a fourplex for an investor, 4 to 12 units. Price really doesn't matter as long as it makes money, but I've really been looking. I sold some multifamily theirs and I'm looking for some other. So there's nothing on market. And so I'm looking off market for anything I can find up to $1 million or whatever. And I do not have a flipper going. First spring, winter that I don't have one going, but I've just been too busy and haven't found one that makes any money. Too
So
many of them are already up for retail when they're offered on the market. So
Yeah.
Brad, please
that's the
tell
truth.
for those people who don't know that are maybe first timers on the call meeting what you do.
I'm a principal real estate broker. I
Great.
sell not only houses, but I sell commercial industrial. I sell apartment buildings. Last year I sold a 20-unit apartment building. I sold in the fall, I sold a $5.4 million industrial complex. So I kind of cover all the bases. I work a lot with investors, but I also just work with everybody that has a house problem. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I've covered a problem or two. Of course, I probably caused a problem or two.
Thank you, Brad. Alyssa Williamson, nice background. You are up.
Thanks. It was from Blue Pool the other weekend. So my name's Alyssa. I'm a business owner. I've got a graphic web design marketing company and I'm a business coach. And I have one rental property at the moment, and I would like to I want to do something in Bend, like either flip or fix her up or hold. But yeah, I want to do something up in Bend. So that's sort of what I'm keeping my eyes on at the moment.
Cool. Where the snow is. Benjamin Cohen, I am inviting you to introduce yourself and tell us if you have any houses at once.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben. This is my first time here. I live up in Salem. I'm an apartment complex owner. I'm partners with a few different people, and we own over 300 units, 54 in Kansas City and 53 in Texarkana, Texas. We currently have 80-unit complex under contract, and we're closing in about a month. So the current question on our lips is, who do you know that wants to invest in an apartment complex? We're going in with a 7.2 cap, and we're hoping to raise that and make some good cash flow in the next few years. So it's a pretty sweet deal. We like it a lot.
Where's the complex?
It's the Canongate Apartments in Vicksburg, Mississippi.
And are you looking to syndicate? Is that what you're talking about when you say we're looking for?
Yep, it is a syndication, correct.
Okay. We should have you talk about that sometime in a future meeting. That'd be awesome.
I would love to. I've only done, this is my fourth, so I'm not a master of it by any means, but I'll share what I know, and you can ask me questions, and I'll say I'll get back to you later.
All right, who would like to hear about it? Raise your hand or wave for the camera if you would like to hear about
Yes.
that. Yes. He's only done it 4 times. Hey. Thank you, Ben. Mike Bredzin, you are up.
Okay, on the spot. Name is Mike Grezzian. I am a real estate investor. I'm a private money lender. I have a very successful Airbnb full house rental for 6 years. Got regular rental. And I have a lot of gratitude just for every day when I can help somebody. Needs or wants, always looking for a beautiful 3-2 that's paid off, and owner wants to carry it because he's just tired of being a landlord, and I'll take over for him.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Mike. Haston, newest member. Got any haves or wants?
Hi, I'm Haston. I live in Corvallis. What I am looking for is a duplex or a multifamily home that I can rent out to someone else and pay my mortgage for me. I'm looking around the $300,000 price range. So if any of you know that type of home or certain areas that might be good to look, I see a lot of duplexes that are for sale, but they tend to seem to sell each side individually, which I don't know if that's common, but I'm looking to buy the entire house and then possibly rent out the other side. So that is what I'm looking for.
Thank you, Haston. I remember those struggles when I was starting out as well. Good job. And you looked at Philomath since we last talked, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Looked a bit around.
Emmanuel, you're next. Hey, Emmanuel.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? So my name is Emmanuel. I live in Corvallis as well. I've been here for about 1.5 years now, and currently working at Hewlett Packard. But in terms of what I want, I'm currently looking for a duplex that I could house hack, or a large single family that I could possibly rent out by the room, just being in Corvallis, close to Oregon State. And then I'm also looking for somebody that might have knowledge on new construction and new builds and the investing path in that realm. But yeah.
Yes, and I told you, make sure you are here tonight because Zach Smith, our speaker, knows those kind of peeps, right? Thank you very much. And now I'm going to Rebecca Fisher, who I have not met before, right? Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. Hi. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Okay, cool. Hi. I just found you guys online. We just moved here from Utah about 6 months ago, and I've done 2 accidental flips, and I'm looking to learn more about it and see what the market's like here, and really interested in BRRRR properties like short-term rentals. So, yeah.
Okay, great. So you know, Mike Grudzian's a pretty good professional at the short-term rentals and studies that as well for the state laws and city laws and that kind of stuff. So make sure you chat him in the chat there. And awesome, welcome. And Chad Nelson is, hi Chad, don't remember meeting you before either.
Yes, yeah, we met one time before.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm doing, I'm wholesaling in Southern Oregon, and yeah, I have a, yeah, currently there's an apartment building that I have under contract that it looks like I've, I found a buyer for, and I'm moving through that process.
Good job.
Great. So it looks like you're driving.
Oh, I'm actually trying to figure out. I got a new webcam here, and it's just not. I haven't got it set up properly. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
pardon me.
So Grace, I gotta say what everybody's thinking here. Chad, first, welcome to the call. But it looks like you are getting ready to step in the ring at an MMA fight, and this is your pre-interview.
Oh.
So, welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, at least I'm not bloody yet. Yeah, no black eyes.
Yeah. So do you have any haves and wants that you are wanting to share, or are you just like cozy on your own?
Well, yeah. So I'm definitely looking to do deals. I'm constantly talking to potential sellers, and looking for ways to creatively structure deals so that I can create win-wins or win-win-wins.
Cool.
If there's, depending on how many people are involved.
Very nice. And I remembered as soon as you mentioned Southern Oregon, I was able to place you. Your head just wasn't footing back then. So
yeah. It's like I don't know. Like I don't know how I get this camera to be.
Yeah, it's all right. Okay. Well, let's see. I got a few to finish up here. Jens Peterson. Hello.
Yay. Hello. I'm here. I'll turn my camera on. My lighting's not so great either, so pardon me. Hello again, Saffron. And
hey.
I remember seeing them. Yeah, so I guess my current have is I have a house hack. I have tenants. I have live-in house flip. So better than like a year ago, a little over a year ago. My one.
You froze.
I'm waiting to get some money back from kind of previous thing that I've put it in to move into like the next investment, and still looking for the best place to put it. So yeah, I mostly need time and my money back from previous stuff. So that's where I'm at.
Great. Super. Thank you. Okay, let's see. I think Stephen and Aiden are the only two left. Aiden, got something to say?
Of course I do.
Where are you? There you are.
Yeah, my lighting's super bad. I don't know what's up, but I am 21 years old and I have a strong determination and willpower to and drive to do what it takes and get what I want. And so I want a good network of people like you guys to have in my life to educate me on the right path and right moves to make to further my journey on this real estate process. And will love to help anyone that would need help and wants help. I would love to offer that to them just for the education purpose for myself. And yeah.
Super, Aiden, and I know you're earnest when you're saying that because you've been helping me for a year. Awesome.
Yes, and I love doing it.
And by helping me, he's not been licking any envelopes, addressing them, or anything like that. But be open to that, Aiden. I would.
I'm all open to it, Gray. If you send me a text, I'll be there.
All right, I got a job for you. I'll teach you more. And Stephen Hoslinger, are you here? There you are.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. So hi guys, I'm Steven, and I currently living in a kind of a house hacked duplex in Albany. It's going pretty well. And so I have two thoughts that I could use help with. I am considering, I have a nice area that has an outlet for like a RV type setting, like an electrical connection. And I have like a outdoor shower that I've built for personal use, but could also be used for that person. So I was considering kind of renting some space out for a tiny home or somebody who would want to park something like a tiny home there. And just I haven't really done my due diligence on the city's rules about that, but if people know about that topic, I'd be interested in hearing about it. And the other half locally would be, it's a large lot, and I was considering what could be done as far as construction to maybe build a separate unit on the existing lot. So if people are willing to chat with me about those options, I'd love to talk about them. And the other thing I'm trying to do is improve some out-of-state investing opportunities. And so I just finished, it's on the market this week, a single family home in Huntsville that I'm renting out, Huntsville, Alabama, excuse me. And so hopefully that gets a decent tenant and things go on the right foot there. And once I've kind of got everybody in line over there, my next goal would be to try a BRRRR strategy in that market. So I've got some wholesalers there, but honestly, I would be very welcome to tonight's topic about financing and just kind of the ins and outs of how feasible a long distance BRRRR would be.
Thank you. You have a lot of things going on. I appreciate that, Stephen. And so anybody, and Stephen, feel free to list those. Also, anybody put your wants, your haves in the chat. I'm a little busy right now, so I won't be putting mine, but I will mention this, that there's a lot of people looking for duplexes on this meeting. So, I just noticed, and I'm going to go back to, did I miss anybody? I don't want to miss anybody. Oh, Zach, I missed you, but you're going to be talking, right? You're cool with that, right? I'm going to miss you a bit. All right, let's see here. What's the next screen? This is not PowerPoint, it's something else. Oh, let's hear from our vendor members. I'm going to skip that too, because guess who's next? We're going to welcome Zach Smith, mortgage loan originator, all around good guy. And he's going to teach us what? How to get some money. Woo! The crowd goes wild. Yay. All right. So we'll take a couple seconds here to get Zach changing over the screen here. Or you go ahead and start. And I want to disappear.
Let's see if I can figure this out here.
Yeah, I don't know if you need to start right away with it or not. Hi, Zach.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, got the woods and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so good to see everybody. I hope I don't bore you guys too much, but I'm gonna try and be, as educational as I can because I wanted to, empower you guys with some knowledge about hard money lending and the state of the hard money lending environment, so you guys can go out and make good decisions when you're looking for a lender. And I didn't want it to be just a full-on 100% advertisement for Cetan Funds. I obviously think we're the best lender and that you should go with us, but I'll show you, some different types of lenders and loan funds, and talk about kind of the ins and outs of what we do, and kind of look at deals from a lender's perspective, so you can kind of see what's going through our heads as we look at some of our investment deals that we're funding. So I wanted to get started just by introducing our company and who we are. So I'm with Cetan Funds. So for a lot of you guys that don't know, Cetan, we picked this name because it is Lakota for the hawk spirit, signifying keen vision, speed, and loyalty, some of our values. We thought it was pronounced Cetan. We're still saying that it's pronounced Cetan, but we found out after we founded the company and everything that it's actually pronounced Cheatin'. And then we realized that that didn't work so
Not a
good.
good name.
Not a good name for a lender. So we're going to stick with Cetan, or that's what we're going with. And so some of our history, who we are, it's a family company. And we were started in 2017 here locally. Mary Merriman is our CEO. She's my mother. And her two partners, the Yett brothers, Stephen Yett and David Yett. I'll share some more info on them in a little bit. In 2016, 2017, they formed the Cetan Income Fund. This is a pooled investment fund. It's actually registered exempt with the SEC. There's a lot of work that goes into setting something like this up, but basically wealthy accredited investors pool their money, and that serves as our source of capital for all of our real estate secured loans, whether it's short-term residential flips like a lot of you guys do, or some longer-term commercial stuff that we do. And then we have Cetan Funds. So it's a second company that's our loan originator. And that's where I work with my office administrator, Kim, and we're currently hiring on another person because we're growing really fast.
Nice.
This is my mom, Mary Merriman. A lot of you guys have met her. She's come to plenty of the meetings. So she's got 40 plus years banking experience. She finished her career in the banking world as a chief credit officer for Summit Bank. She left in 2015. Stephen Yett was a client of hers. And so they partnered together for many different reasons that I'll share in a sec. And they to empower real estate investors, developers, and builders to build wealth through real estate. We also want to generate stable and attractive returns for the many investors in our fund. Remember, those are the people that are pooling their money into the fund that we then lend out. We want to also help our state grow. We love Oregon. We're born and raised here. Like I said, my mother has been lending here since she was 20, back in the 80s. And so we really want to help our state grow and meet its housing demand. And we want to build long-term relationships with borrowers who share the same goals and visions of success. So I love working with creative folks who are ambitious, who want to make things happen. And it's a pleasure to be doing that. And we want to keep growing that way. So now we're going to transition and talk some about private lending and some differences between different private lenders. So you guys can maybe compare, weigh and contrast. We're going to talk about, where money comes from, how these private lenders actually fund these transactions, including like us, where our money comes from, how a hard money lender funds that, and then other things that you should consider when you're considering a lender to fund a deal. So the hard money lending landscape it's like the Wild West out there. You can find all kinds of different products, all types of different lenders. Terms really range. Just in terms of pricing, you could see anywhere from an individual investor offering a private note to another investor on a property for 8%, maybe lower interest rate. Maybe they don't even charge a fee, or they charge just one point in origination. For you guys that don't know, maybe you're new, but points is a percent, 1% of the loan. And then I've seen hard money lenders doing real hard money lending that's 15% or more interest, and they're charging 6 points. And this is generally just totally asset-based lending. They don't even look at who the borrower is. It's just on the property, maybe even just on the tax assessed value of the property, and they don't really care about anything else. A lot of lenders have different specialties and focuses. So you're going to find lenders out there that are local, like us. We're very focused on Oregon. We don't go outside of Oregon. That's our whole philosophy. There's other lenders that are regional. Maybe they're in multiple states. Maybe they're national and they're all over the country. Depending on their focus, they're going to have different pricing models. They're going to have different requirements. They're going to have a lot of different things with their loan products that are particular to them. And you're going to see a lot of lenders, do they even know Oregon? Do they even understand the market? Do they have local experience here? If they don't, then, how can you bank on them valuing your property properly, understanding your scenario properly if they don't understand the Oregon real estate market? And then there's other lenders who have different focuses. So some are just exclusively fix and flip. Some are exclusively new construction for builders. Others are doing just commercial bridge loans. We happen to do all of it because of our experience. In fact, our residential is kind of split 50-50. We do ground up construction and subdivisions and fix and flip, and also the BRRRR strategy type loans as well. And then your experiences are going to vary greatly from lender to lender. A lot of time people get stuck with their one lender because they think that that's how all lenders are, and that's not true. Experiences between the different lenders is pretty dramatically different. How many employees or departments does a certain lender have? Who are you going to be working with when you go to request draws? Do they hold your loan or do they sell it off? Do they service it themselves? Do they use third-party inspectors? There's a whole wide range of things to think about. And one important thing that people often overlook is what happens to your lender during a recession or an emergency like a pandemic that we just had. A lot of people were shocked at what happened to the hard money lending market last April. A lot of lenders just shut up, just stopped working. They closed doors. One lender in particular that used to be a member of this group totally shut down all operations in Oregon and laid off all of their sales staff overnight. And so when you're borrowing money from a company like that, that's not secure, that's not ready for that type of emergency, you're actually exposing yourself to a lot of risk. So we can talk more about why here in a sec. But here's it's always key to follow the money. Where does the money come from? How do these lenders fund their deals? So their capital source is often overlooked, and it's a critical component that you guys should always think about. So where does the money coming from? Does it come from an individual investor? Whether you're borrowing from just a private individual, or you're borrowing from a lender that is serving as a broker, essentially, for you and a private individual, it's important for you to understand the risks of borrowing from just some private individual. You're going to be taking out a loan that's funded by one person. They're going to be going on to the deed of trust. And then if something were to happen to them, to their family, to the economy that freaked them out, they could come after their loan. They could call the note due. It exposes you to a little bit of a risk borrowing from that type of investor. There are also hard money lenders out there that do multiple individual investors. They essentially syndicate a trust deed, and they have 3 or 4 lenders that pool their money a lot of the time, and all these individuals go onto the deed of trust. Now you're exposing yourself to other risks, such as what if there's a partner dispute among all of these lenders? What if one of them wants their money back and the others get in a fight about it? There's some things that you just should be aware of when you're thinking about that type of investment. Also, there's funds out there. You can find a lot of hard money, especially like regional lenders do this. They lend in many different states. They're essentially borrowing from banks, using lines of credit from banks to then lend to you at a higher rate. Now, what happens to you when the bank calls that line of credit, like what happened in 2007 and 2008? The hard money lender then has to call your loan because they have to pay the bank back. So then you're screwed by your hard money lender because they were borrowing. They're basically borrowing to lend. Not a great situation. So there's a lot of funds out there that are heavily leveraged. And when the dominoes fall in a recession or a pandemic, those are usually the first to close up shop. A lot of other national lenders, they immediately sell your loans that you take out to what they call the capital markets, aka they're funded by Wall Street. A lender like that, you could get amazing rates, amazing pricing from these folks, but they're not going to necessarily be serving in your best interest all the time, because their job is literally to fund your loan and then immediately sell it for a profit. They're really not looking to build a long-term relationship, and they're really looking for loan volume. They're looking to do as many loans as they possibly can to then make as much money as possible. Whether or not you succeed is not really part of the equation. And then there's other lenders like us that have a managed fund. Now, when we make a loan, the lender is Cetan Funds. The loan is immediately purchased by our Cetan Income Fund, and that loan is managed by our managers, our principals, the people I showed you before. The people who invest in our fund give them independence and autonomy to manage all of the assets in the fund. They basically sign up for their investment saying, we're accepting your management and your choices and your decisions with our finances. In this case, the managers of the fund have the flexibility to do a lot of creative things and deal with situations as they come up, such as a pandemic. And I can talk a little bit more about that as we go through. Some other differences include, application and documentation requirements. They vary a lot. So some lenders, they're going to want to document your income and your cash flow. Specifically, we do this for a key reason. We want to know if you have the financial wherewithal to take on a loan or take on the investment, whether it's a fix and flip or buy, rehab, refinance type strategy. We want to know that you have the financial wherewithal to follow through on that you're going to make your payments. And we need to document that. For one reason, we need to document it to protect our investors, to make sure that we're lending to somebody who can actually pay us back. And another reason is to ensure that you succeed. If you're looking to eventually refinance and you don't have any documented income, well, those two things don't really add up. The bank is not going to lend to you at the end of the transaction when you're going for your refinance if you don't have any documented income. So we do it as kind of a layer of protection for both the investor and the borrower. We also want to see, documentation of like what kind of cash you have in the bank, cash reserves. We want to make sure that you have enough money to cover any cost overruns. Everybody knows when you're rehabbing a house, everything takes twice as long as you think and costs twice as much as you think most of the time. And so if a lender doesn't ask for any type of documentation for the cash that you have, you got to wonder if they even care about whether or not you're going to succeed with it. Plans, budgets, and draw schedules. Again, a lot of lenders out there don't ask for these types of things. They don't go in depth. They maybe just want a spreadsheet detailing, simple little rehab budget, and they just roll with that. When I'm doing a construction project, some of the flips that we do are pretty simple. But if we're doing a new construction project for a spec home or something like that, we want to see house plans. We want to see approved permits. We want to see utilities. I oftentimes do my own due diligence going out to the county and the city. I'm deep diving into this stuff to make sure that these numbers make sense. And I can't tell you how many times people send me bogus cost sheets that make absolutely no sense, and I pick them apart. And then they're like, all these other hard money lenders don't talk to me like this. It's like, well, maybe they should, because you don't know what you're doing. So it's a layer of protection both for the borrower and the investor. Vetting the project and the property. I know of one lender in particular, a local lender. They're doing a multi-million-dollar apartment construction project right now that we passed on, and they're about halfway done with it, and they haven't done a single inspection before the loan or after the loan is funded. Not a single representative from that lender has come out to the property. With all this stuff, you might think to yourself, well, that sounds like easy money. They're just funding deals and they don't care. That sounds great. And it might even be cheap rates, but are they really doing everything in your best interest? Are they looking out for themselves? If they're doing that on all of their projects, what's going to happen when some shady borrower takes advantage of them and some of their investors get upset? So you got to think of all these things when you're trying to pick your lender. They also should be vetting your experience. So some of the things that we do is, we have people write up a summary of their past flips. We look at before and after shots. We look up listings. I actually go out and look up the public records. We sometimes ask for prior settlement statements just to see, like, are these people legit? Are they making money? And we vet that experience. If they're not doing that, if they're not really doing a deep dive on you, you just got to question if they're really looking out for your best interests. And then other lenders don't require a personal guarantee. Now, for you guys that don't know, a personal guarantee to your loan, like let's say that you have an LLC that you're doing your investments through, and you're borrowing on a property through an LLC. Each individual owner of that LLC should guarantee the loan. If a lender isn't asking for that personal guarantee, that's a little suspect, because basically they're saying that they don't care enough about your loan to have you guarantee to pay it back. We always require a personal guarantee because it's basically you putting your name down on the bottom line. And that is how we ensure that everybody is protected. And I think we just got a chat, and I'm trying to figure out how to get to it. How do I get to the chat bar now? Grace?
Hey, Zach, I don't know if you can see your Zoom screen now because you're deep into the PowerPoint.
Oh, no, I can't.
Yeah, that's the problem. You probably
If
alt
there are
tab.
questions in the chat, let me know.
Alt tab. I just sent in one that you alerted me to the fact that Flip was in a flood zone, saved my bacon before I closed with the seller giving me the negotiation gambit to get the price much lower. That was a year ago. Yeah.
Little due diligence there.
A little free money from Zach. Thank you.
So now let's talk about picking your hard money lender. So I want you guys to maybe think of this from a different perspective. So many people out there, when they're shopping for a hard money lender to help them with a fix and flip, they're thinking about, I just got to find cheap money. I got to find somebody who's going to lend me money. But I'll ask you guys, what do you do when you hire a contractor? Or what about a supplier? You vet those people and you make sure that they're licensed. You make sure that they're doing it properly. You don't necessarily always order your floors from lumber liquidators. You don't necessarily always hire the first guy who gives you a bid. You maybe look him up and you make sure that he's done good work. You don't necessarily always go with the cheapest. You don't go with the most expensive. You really kind of pick and choose. Picking your lender should be somewhat similar to that. You really want to find the best fit for you. And your hard money lender is a critical part of your team and should really add value more than just cutting you a check. And so it's important to ask yourself, how is your lender structured? How do they operate? These are all critical parts of the equation. And I think I'm seeing more chats in here, but I don't know how to get to it. I'm sorry, guys. Anybody want to speak up and shout out what's in the chat bar if there are questions? I'll just keep going. I'll come back to the questions at the end. So some of the things that we offer, the Cetan Advantage, we call it. Our fund, like I said, is a pooled fund. It's mostly family money. We have over 60 investors now, but a large portion of our fund is family money. We're pushing 20 million in assets under management now. We have experts, like I told you, helped run banks, real estate development experience. We're a small family office, really streamlined, and most of all, we're independent and flexible. We manage our own fund. We have our own funds. We do our own thing. We're not stuck in a cookie cutter box like some regional or national lenders are. And we have competitive pricing, but you know what? It's not cheap. The word cheap, if you're using that with your lender, then you maybe should question whether you should be with that lender, because it's not always the best option. We are fast. We can close as fast as 24 to 48 hours. I've closed on a transaction in as little as that. Usually it's 5 to 10 days is our closing timeline. We're trying to be flexible. We offer pre-approvals and we review the projects in depth. You can talk directly with me at any time, and you can talk to our owners at any time. So there's easy communication. We customize every loan package depending on the situation. And we really try and be funding partners for our borrowers. We're really invested in their success. So I wanted to walk through a scenario to kind of show you how a typical, simple fix and flip would look borrowing from us. So one is usually pre-qualification or pre-approval. So in this step, we get to know each other. I vet the applicant's experience. I get to know them. We talk for a long time on the phone, get to know each other. I learn some more of their background. They might even send me a summary of their experience. I evaluate their financials. So they send me, along with their application, they send in bank statements or tax returns. We usually get a financial statement that lists their assets and liabilities, so I can see just where they're at and see where their income is at. We look at their cash or their cash flow, how much they have in the bank, how much are they making, can they afford to take on the loan? We check their credit, we do a background check, we do all these things, and if everything checks out, if you're in a good place at that point, we get you approved and we offer preliminary terms, which basically tells you how much we can lend to you, up to what loan to values we can lend. And so you can take that around when you're shopping for properties. So when you find a property, we can issue pre-approval letters or fund guarantee statements. Our fund guarantee statements are something a little unique that we do. We have a statement that's a little bit different than a typical pre-approval that is worded in such a way that it's meant to be on the level as competitive as a cash offer. It basically says this is a private and hard money loan, and an additional appraisal isn't necessary, and the transaction is just subject to title and escrow. As simple as that. So step 2 would then be obviously approving the project. So every time a pre-approved borrower finds a project, all they have to send me is a project proposal. What's their purchase price? What's their rehab budget? What's the after repair value? How long are they going to hold it for? They just try and pass along all the pertinent information. Obviously, they need to give me the property address so I can look it up and do some research. So we do our own quick evaluation of the property, and we get our own after repair value estimate. At that point, we determine how much we could lend on the project, and if it fits our criteria, that's when we establish our maximum loan amount and our minimum down payment that we're going to require, which I'll show you how that works. In general, our maximum loan to value is going to be 70 to 75% of the after repair value of the property. I'll show you some numbers. We're going to do a bunch of math. I love math, so you guys are probably going to like fall asleep, but it's okay. We're just going to crunch some numbers. Minimum down payment is usually 10% of project costs. And when I say project costs, I mean all of the project costs: purchase, rehab, and some initial funding costs. So here's an example so we can run through some numbers. Let's imagine we're doing a simple fix and flip on a single family house. Let's say the purchase price is $150,000. The rehab budget estimate is $50,000. So we've got total project costs so far of $200,000. We've got another about 5% that we add on top of that for closing costs and contingency, loan fees, insurance, title and escrow, all kinds of different costs, taxes. I mean, a wide range of things come into this bucket, but in general, you know, it usually comes out to about 5% for a simple fix and flip. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. It kind of depends. So then altogether we have $210,000 in total project costs. Hopefully you're following that simple math so far. So then, if we take those that simple math, we got $210,000 in project costs. Our minimum down payment in general is going to be 10% of that. We're going to expect our borrower to come in with $21,000 in that scenario. That's their down payment. Let's imagine that the after repair value estimate on this deal is $250,000. By my estimation, that is a super skinny deal. There is not very much profit in that deal. That is not a good number. You should probably move on to the next deal if that's the profit margin. But let's imagine that we're looking at those numbers. So the max loan amount, it's going to be the lesser of 70% LTV, that's loan to value. So our loan to the after repair value, or 90% loan to cost being the project costs. Remember I said that you have 10% down of your project costs. So if we take 70% of the after repair value, we get $175,000. If we take 90% of the 210, we have $189,000. So if we take the lesser of those two numbers, that means that Cetan Funds' loan is going to be $175,000. So if that's the case, because the profit margin is so skinny on this deal, we're going to ask you to come in with more down payment because everybody's risk is too high. You're probably going to lose money on the deal, frankly. It's not going to pencil. But if you really, really wanted to do it for whatever reason, we're going to ask you for a higher down payment. So you're going to have to come in with, in this case, probably around $35,000 rather than the 21. But let's look at the numbers if they shook out just a little bit differently. Let's say the ARV was more like 275. So again, same thing, our maximum loan amount, minimum down payments. But now we have 70% of the 275. That's $192,500. 90% of the 210 is 189. Remember, we're going with the lesser of those two numbers. So Cetan Funds' loan is going to be 189,000 in this scenario. So if you add that up, we're going to require that down payment of just 21,000 on that deal. You're coming in with 10% on a purchase price of $150,000. If you want to think of it in terms of the purchase price, you're looking at a down payment of like, 15%, maybe actually less, more like 12% of the purchase price, right? So now that we have these numbers and we've established, let's say we're doing this loan, this fix and flip loan for 189,000. We finance 100% of the rehab. So 50,000, remember our rehab budget was 50,000 on this deal. 50,000 is going to be held back on a credit line to be drawn down later as the work is completed for the project. 139,000 is going toward the purchase price at closing. So if you add in your down payment that you're bringing into closing, which keep in mind includes your earnest money or any other credits that you have, or any other equity that you have in the deal, will include that in your down payment. So we would need about 160,000 here to fund and close escrow. That would cover all of your loan fees, all of the closing costs, insurance, etc. So $150,000 purchase price with about 10,000 in closing costs. And you got yourself your newest flip. So again, there's a breakdown of it. So then what kind of rates and terms would you be looking at with a deal like this? So it's hard to just quote firm rates. If a lender quotes you just firm rates, then I'm telling you, they're not very flexible, because our rates really depend on many different factors. It depends on who we're working with. It depends on their experience. It depends on the property. It depends on the location. It depends on our loan to value. It depends on a whole wide range of factors. But in general, our rates are 10 to 12% annually with an interest rate. In general, our origination fees at closing are 3 to 4% of the loan amount. Now, most of our projects are 9 to 12 months in term. We try and provide our borrowers with plenty of time to get it done. There are some other lenders who charge a lot less than this. They might even charge as low as 2% origination. Most of the time, those are even shorter term. You're only given, say, 6 months to complete a flip. And I've seen too many people from this group get stuck in those scenarios where they take out a 6-month loan, and then at the end of 6 months, they're having to pay extension fees. And some of those lenders charge, 1% every month or two to extend those loans. So in the end, on an annual basis, you might be paying 5% in fees to the lender. So we try and spread that out for you and give you plenty of time. On these loans, you'd be paying monthly interest-only payments, and interest is charged only on the funds that you've drawn. So you can estimate your payment at about 1% of your outstanding balance. So in that previous example, your monthly payments initially when you funded the deal are going to be, around $1,400, $1,450 at like a higher interest rate on that. And then as you draw down the balance, it's going to increase up as high as like $1,950 for your monthly interest payment. But keep in mind, if you're doing it right, if you have a good contractor, if you're on a good schedule, you're not going to be out that money the entire year. Hopefully you're going to get out of it quickly. Six to 9 months is usually what I see for a good flip schedule. And some people are doing it even faster. I've got a couple, we're on our 8th flip together in the last 2 years, and they're averaging about 3.5 months for a flip right now. So some people get it done pretty fast and they don't feel that interest expense. So like I said, typical loan is 9 to 12 months. We also build in extensions into our loans. Grace, did you have something to say?
How'd you know?
I saw you unmute.
Did you? Aren't you just so good?
Yeah,
So
stop me at any time.
yeah, Emmanuel asked, and I was waiting for till you finished with this example.
Yeah.
Like for transactional funding, say like he's talking about like doing a burr, you know, that would be a longer length of time. Would you guys do that?
Yeah, we actually go as long as 36 months. We go as long as 3 years for like rental properties.
Okay.
The longest we go is 3 years though, because our fund is designed to be short term. Yeah,
Emmanuel, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask more about that.
sure.
Yeah, that answers my question. I was just thinking, you know, for a burr where it might take a little longer to refinance and get your money back,
Yeah.
if you guys offer with longer loans. So yeah, 36 months, 3 years. Yeah, that answers my question.
Yeah, yeah. Now keep in mind, with a burr strategy, I mean, hopefully you would get it done faster than 3 years because
right.
With our interest rates, you're going to be in the red for a while.
Right.
And we don't want you to be in the red. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So now let's talk about pricing, because everybody always gets fixated on pricing when it comes to these loans because it is expensive. It's not cheap money, but you know, you have to weigh the opportunity costs. You know, it gives you the ability to do things that would never be possible with certain investment opportunities unless you had cash otherwise. So I'm going to compare Cetan funds with your ABC hard money lender out there. This is common what I see. Okay, so let's compare the apples to apples here. We've got a $200,000 loan. Let's imagine this is a 6-month holding period for a flip. ABC hard money lender, a lot of these larger lenders, they might go as low as, you know, say 10% interest and 3 points in origination. Often we might be at a price something like this. These are just examples, just some samples here, but 11% interest and 3.5 points in origination. Obviously we're right up front, you see those numbers and you say, this is a higher price. I'm going to be paying more to Cetan funds than another lender. I'm going to show you how that might not be the case. So a lot of times these larger lenders, regional or national lenders, are going to charge for a broker price opinion, basically a form of an appraisal, but it's shorter, it doesn't take as long, but it usually costs around $350. Sometimes you pay for that up front. We don't do upfront valuation costs. We do in-house valuations because we're so familiar with the market. The only time that we really require BPOs or appraisals is when we're dealing with something that's really complicated, that's a commercial property that's really unusual, or it's in a location where there's just no comps. But if you're talking about typically what I see in this group, we're going to do all of our evaluations in-house and not charge anything for that. A lot of lenders these days are charging around, you know, $1,000 to $1,200 for administration fees that you're going to get charged at closing. Our fee is around $850 on all of our loans. I've seen a lot of lenders throw in a rehab financing fee. They charge you to set up a credit line, essentially, and they throw that in there, and they don't really tell you up front, but they're going to charge you for it. We don't do that, hidden fee crap like that. So then a lot of lenders charge interest on the loan commitment from day one. They're not going to charge you only on your balance. They're going to charge you on the overall loan commitment. So including your rehab from day one. We charge only on the balance, only on the funds that you've drawn. So let's look at a scenario where we have, let's say you're doing a flip and over the course of 4 months, you draw down your rehab budget fairly evenly. So it's a 4-month drawdown. So in that case, with this type of pricing, your total financing costs, this is with a 6-month holding period with these charges, is going to be just shy of $18,000. So $17,750. This is your interest, your fees, everything included to get your hard money loan from ABC hard money lender. With Cetan funds, even though our pricing is slightly higher in this example, our total financing cost is going to be roughly the same. So right on the surface, a lot of people get fixated on the 10% versus 11% and the 3 points and the 3.5 points, but you have to weigh everything that goes into it to really evaluate the difference in price. And then you have to also weigh all those other factors that I talked about before, where the money is coming from and all sorts of different things. So then after we fund and close, or no, excuse me, what's needed for funding and closing? I'm getting ahead of myself. So we have to review the purchase and sale agreement, make sure all is well there. We review the rehab budgets. So this is like, once we have an approved project, we're really diving into the rehab budgets, make sure they make sense, maybe get bids from your contractor to verify that it's all legit. We obviously open escrow and order a title report. We make sure we have clean title. We always do a site visit. I always meet with my borrowers right on site. I always look at the property and shake their hand. It's old-fashioned way of doing business, but that's just something we have to do every time. We work with Jeanette a lot of the time to get the property insurance in place. Thank you, Jeanette. And then we do, any additional funding conditions specific to the loan, right? So it really depends. But most of the time, this is all that we need if somebody is well qualified and we're ready to go. So then what happens after we fund? So like I said, we service the loan in-house. So we set you up in our servicing system. You get emails from there, that you get your billing statements, receipts. We process your payments. We get all that set up. We establish the rehab credit line for you. And get ready to take in your draw requests. We follow through on the title process to make sure that everything is nice and clean, that the prior liens on the house have been removed, that the title company follows through with everything that they've done. A lot of the lenders don't follow through on this stuff, which seems crazy to me, because how do they guarantee their lien position without doing it? We also track budgets and draws throughout the process. I help my borrowers keep track of their budgets so they don't go over. I have a spreadsheet, which actually I can show you on my other screen, maybe. So we use this spreadsheet a lot of the time to help our borrowers track their budgets. This spreadsheet is adopted from a lot of our builders, so it's kind of written for new construction, but we modify it for a fix and flip. And so all we do is we fill out in this highlighted column your budgets. So if we've got 150,000, if we've got, say, 5,000 in these budgets, it spills over into this spreadsheet. And as you go along, as you draw down your budgets, let's say you draw 2,500 from these categories, it will tell you how much you've drawn, how much is remaining, how your percent complete. And we track your draws throughout the entire project to make sure that you're on track. I work really closely with my borrowers to adjust this as they go. A lot of times their categories change, their budgets change, plans change. And so this is like a living document that we use throughout the project. So that's something that I enjoy doing. You can tell I'm a numbers guy and spreadsheets are my thing. So it's fun for me, which is kind of weird, but I like it. So then our draw process. So let's say you want to get the money. So what does it look like? So we disperse money from the rehab line for work complete, materials purchased, or invoices that need to be paid for the work that's complete. So all that a borrower has to do is they submit a draw breakdown, like the spreadsheet to me, requesting their draw, showing and categorizing everything that needs to be drawn. I make sure there's room in the budgets. If there's not, I rework the budgets a little bit, massage a little bit so we can get the money out to them. They provide documentation if we require it, like invoices or receipts for some of the largest items, pictures and videos. If they don't provide any of that documentation, then I have to go out to the property and do a site inspection, which is fine. Generally, there's a fee for that. So I tell people just take pictures and videos and send me everything so that I document everything. And then I don't have to go out there to inspect. and we don't have to incur additional fees. And then we can disperse the money directly to you with a check, a wire, ACH credit, or we can literally pay your contractors direct for you. A lot of cases, contractors will have, say, like 50% down payments. We can actually front those costs out of the credit line too, if we have, a documentation of that in the contract. So then I'm going to wrap up with just a sample deal so you can see just, some of the things that we make happen. And this is actually, I got permission to share this from a member of Oregon REIA. I haven't seen him in a while, but Ben Mercier. And I think some of you guys went to this property that we financed. This was a really cool project. I didn't have a great before picture, but this is the best that I could come up with. This was a street view. I don't know if you can see it. It's all torn up. He had already started some work on the property at this point, but this was before he added on a garage. Here's a before and after, basically. So here's how the deal went for him through the whole process. So he first came to us December of 2018. Actually, I think it might have been November, but he had found this property from a wholesaler. The guy was charging him way too much money for the property. There was an initial back and forth on the price. He got it for $85,000 finally, which seemed like a pretty good deal. Initially, Ben wanted to maximize his leverage, as everybody does when they come to me. They're like, I want to get as much money as I can, like loan me as much money as you can. And I looked at his finances with him. I said, like, Ben, our interest rates are super high. You don't want to borrow 100% from us. Maybe you should look at the equity in your house. Like, you could get a HELOC on your house and save a lot of money using some of that. He went and quickly did that while he was doing his due diligence on the property and negotiating with the seller. And he was able to reduce his overall costs significantly, putting a large chunk of money down. So our loan amount was only $130,000. So we did, $44,000 on the purchase price. So you can see with the purchase price at 85, he put a good 40 or 50 down there using that HELOC. And then we loaned $86,000 for the rehab. This was a really old house. So I think it was built in 1902. So we were kind of aware going into it that he might need a little bit more than that. And it was kind of, we needed to be flexible, which is exactly what happened. So here's some progress pictures. There's Ben. So as he was gutting that place, pretty cool project. As he was ripping out the walls, he found old newspapers from like World War I and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. But he started gutting it. He started the garage addition. The rehab, of course, took way longer than expected. The budget grew. He realized he needed a new garage and driveway for maximum value. So November of 2019, almost a year after we did the initial loan, we extended the loan. We increased the loan from 130 to 195. We gave him an additional $65,000 for the construction. We gave him an additional 6 months to finish. We did this because it made sense, because there was value there, because Ben was a great guy, because he was doing well, and because the project was going well. He was making his payments. So we offered flexibility. A lot of lenders just simply wouldn't do this. I don't even think we charged him an extension fee when we did this. We simply charged him some origination fees on the new monies that we gave him, but we didn't charge him any insane extension fees to get this done for him, because we knew that he was going to be successful. Here's some after pictures of the inside. It was really cool finish work that he did. He finally finished and sold it April 2020. So it did take him nearly a year and a half to get it done, but he sold it for $330,000. The total loan was $195,000. He had about $50,000 into it. His holding costs, after all was said and done, was about $25,000. It was an expensive year and a half. He also had selling costs of about $20,000. But even with that, you add all that up, he did come out with a net profit of about $40,000. It was his first time, And to be honest, I thought that was a pretty good, successful project for him with his first time. Now, could he have done better? I think so, but without a hard money loan from Cetan Funds, it wouldn't have happened at all. So I thought that went really well. And yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to wrap up. I think I'm almost at the end of my time. And so I'm open to any questions, and I hope you guys enjoyed everything that I had and love to talk more about money.
Awesome. I'm changing my screen view. So I recorded that, so I will send Ben a link for sure.
Oh, cool.
That was a great project. We went there a couple of times during the members only mystery meeting, seeing that, and all of us, most of us, okay, I could say Saffron, Kevin, and I, probably Mike, and we all looked at that project and passed on it in Cottage Grove there.
Yeah.
But that was when the wholesaler was trying to get 130 or something like that. And so
Right.
I don't know how Ben got it down to 85, because I think a wholesaler bought it for higher. So I'm not sure. That story I have not a clear understanding on. But thank you so much, Zach. I bet you there might be questions, but I'm not seeing any on the chat. So you guys unmute yourselves if you want to say something. Mike Grunzian's up.
Yeah, Zach, do you have flippers, investors that just keep their financials on file with you? Or if let's say you get somebody's financials because they want to be looking around, good for 6 months or good to next tax year or what?
Yeah, it's generally good for 6 to 12 months, but if I'm doing repeat deals with these folks, I generally collect their financials once. If they're being successful and they're performing well, we don't necessarily have to go back too often. Like that couple that I mentioned, we're on our 7th or 8th deal now.
Yeah.
I don't bother anymore. They're making money hand over fist, and I know it. So yeah.
Good question, Mike. Anybody else? I see the glasses wanting to ask you a question. I can just see it in the expression.
I don't know what she wants to say, but we're unmuted.
All right. Well, you just finished a deal, and you're on your next deal. Will you go to Veristone again, or you consider Cetan Funds? And this was not supposed to be an advertisement for our vendor members, Cetan Funds, but it's okay. And they're
I'm slowly working toward a position where we can deal with anybody. And I want to have used everybody at some point and compare them. I wouldn't, at this point, I wouldn't choose Veristone if we had options, but I'm not sure we're in a position yet where we do have options.
Well, you need to work with the lender to get pre-approved and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And
It's very simple with Veristone.
And Zach, it's going to be hard for me to forget that you might called Cetan Funds.
Yeah, Cetan Funds.
Hey, Zach, I got an office question for you. Kim Voorhees, is she related to Sid Voorhees, the auctioneer?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't sound familiar. No. Yeah.
I know I was thinking, because I've worked with Native people some, that I would suggest too that you might want to think on your PowerPoint thing to say Lakota tradition as opposed to a mythology, because their traditional beliefs are still alive and well with many Lakota people.
Okay.
Oh, get on that. Cool.
Yeah, I'll change that. I will.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, I got a question.
Yeah.
Can you share with us one of your most wildest, craziest success stories out of the box that Cetan really shined in kind of a unique, weird situation? And by the way, I think Ben's story I think Ben's story was definitely pretty freaking cool, because I think when I went to that, when he was in the in the middle of remodeling it, and I think everybody was like, "Oh, Ben, yeah, we feel for you, brother. I hope you can recover from this." And so I think the fact that he made money, and granted it was over a year and a half, but the fact that he made money, I think, was a surprise for all of us. But do you have another success story that might be something like that?
Yeah, so like I said, we deal a lot with builders. And so we did a really cool project in South Eugene that was really kind of a funky deal. It was there were 2 single family homes, and large property behind. And we had like a older investor that my mother knew from years back who owned a bunch of properties. And he had this vision for like a community little cluster subdivision, but he needed help getting it done. So we worked with him for 3 or 4 years on this project where we helped him through the subdivision process, getting the cluster subdivision approved, and we funded the infrastructure. He rehabbed the front homes, and then we built out each of the houses, and there were these tiny little cottages, and they shared like a little garden in the middle. And I think without working with us, he just wouldn't have been able to achieve that. That was a kind of a unique type of deal. If you're talking more like saving somebody's bacon, like when they get in over their head, we've had plenty of deals where somebody buys a property expecting one thing, like they're going to turn it into a rental and it'll be nice and easy to get a refinance, and then that refinance falls through and they got to go back to plan B. And there was one in particular in Medford that we did where a guy bought a property expecting to just rehab it and refinance it super easy, get a renter, couldn't find the renter, couldn't get the refinance done. We ended up extending his loan. We ended up even giving him a rate concession a little bit to help him out. And he ended up doing a simple lot line adjustment and partitions, selling off a lot to pay down the loan. And then eventually he refinanced and kept the property as his own and paid it off. So I think in another situation, he might have just been foreclosed out by a lender who didn't care about him. So I don't know if that was like a bad scenario. We've had bad scenarios that we help people work through, and then there's good scenarios. So I have all kinds of crazy stuff.
Mike, doesn't
Yeah.
that lead you to think about this project we're working on jointly about how to talk to a lender?
Absolutely. I wish Zach was involved, but I
Yeah.
thank Zach for giving me a call and alerting me to an opportunity to help somebody. And the craziest thing that just drives me nuts about COVID is I used to spend a lot of my days a week or whatever out and about, just working with people, helping people in one way or another, one connection or another. And that's what I do, and I thank you for that. And we're gonna help him right across the finish line.
You're going to help him out?
Yeah,
We're working on it.
I don't think he needs my lending help, but we put together a team of people to kind of surround him, support him, and
Good.
get this project to the end. And hopefully he'll walk away at least above water.
So the milestone we're at right now is going back to the lender and seeing if they will be more lenient. Give a
With that particular project?
Yeah, on the project. Yeah, that needs to be extended and do a, what's it called? I forgot.
Forbearance.
Forbearance. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Put a kibosh on all payments and interest. Hold that till time of close. We need a little bit of draw, and we need like 8 weeks. And I volunteer to be the pitch man on the call with the gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
I
any
hope
words of wisdom on that, Zach?
I know the lender.
Yeah, I
and,
know you do.
Yeah, they're tough. that might
Maybe
be,
I'll call you in the morning, Zach.
yeah. Yeah.
We have an
Have you
11
talked to?
o'clock Zoom call on this, so you
Oh,
maybe
really?
to plan for this phone call. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you get somewhere. Maybe they will, given the circumstances. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't think any lender wants a half-finished project.
No, they don't.
They want their money.
There are some lenders out there that do, but not this one in particular right now, I don't think. So
That's good. All right, who else wants to ask a question? I want to thank you, Zach. That was an excellent presentation, and you went into some really deep stuff, and yeah.
I have a question.
And we all like the math, right?
Yeah, sure.
Chad, you got a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. So, Zach, are there any certain, are there any, cases where there's like there are certain warning signs where you should be, you should be careful on a certain project before jumping into it, even though a lender may be willing to lend on it? Because you were talking earlier about the lenders who'll lend on pretty much anything, and you could end up in a situation where you're in over your head. What are some of the metrics that you would say are like, oh, if this or that is exceeded or is above or below some threshold, you really shouldn't be in this?
I would be skeptical anytime you're talking to a lender about a specific project and they don't ask in-depth questions to get to know you or the project itself. They might just be acting like they're a money dispenser and they're ready to do any deal and they're talking a big game. There's a lot of lenders out there that would issue quick pre-approval letters without even vetting you or vetting the property. They might even send you a letter that you could submit with an offer and get a property under contract, and it'll have fine print in there saying subject to underwriting. And with those types of lenders, you're often dealing with a salesperson who's just trying to make a commission, and they're not actually incentivized to make sure that it's necessarily going to fund. They're just trying to meet their quota. So I would say anytime you're going through working with a lender on a transaction, just make sure that they're really invested, that they really want to know you and know what's going on. If they're just asking for a bank statement and a property address and then sending you a pre-approval letter, which, I mean, you could go get online from a lot of national hard money lenders just by plugging it in their little computer and they'll approval letter. Then I think you got to step back and say like, is this in my best interest? Is this even going to work? Like, there's no such thing as free money out there, So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does on some level. Like I can understand where if a salesperson's motivated by a commission or they're a broker of some kind, they don't really care in the end because they got their commission and they're on to the next one for they need the churn. But it's the part about whoever they're either selling that loan to, or it doesn't seem like that's a sustainable long-term prospect if they're getting people into in over their head and then handing that off to someone else. The someone else or the other entity, if they're smarter, they're going to catch on to that, right?
Well, like in the case of one lender that we all know, they did loan volume, and it's just a numbers game. If they can do 100 loans and only 10 of them go delinquent and south, then they're okay, if everything's good with the market. But when like a pandemic happens or a recession, suddenly 10 loans delinquent becomes 90, and then the whole house of cards comes down, you know. So they're just playing the numbers game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess yeah, on some level it does. But I tend to
Yeah.
like a long-term perspective, so some of it doesn't register just in my mind from the business perspective.
Yeah. Why would you do that, right?
Yes, like why are they doing that? Yeah,
And
they
then
just
some
want,
hard money
I know
lenders are
they want the
basically-
quick buck, but you know,
Right.
so it could be a bad you know, long game. The marathon doesn't work.
Yep.
Okay.
Zach, I'd like to say thank you very much for this presentation. We actually learned the hard way by suffering some of those things you mentioned with another lender. And
I'm sorry.
if we had, you know, I'd like to say to the group, this is a very valuable presentation because we were not educated. We missed a lot of stuff. We fell for a slick salesman, basically, and we lost a lot of money on that deal. And we were able to eventually get it refinanced with a better lender, which of course cost us new origination fees and so on. And it was a hard lesson, and
Lessons aren't cheap.
lessons aren't cheap, yes,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for this presentation because it is really valuable information.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Would you recommend people watch the video? Can I get it
Yes,
to my-
absolutely. Yes, it's good. It's good
Yeah.
information.
It was good. Stephen Hoslinger.
Yeah, thank you. Question. So for a maybe less than typical flip, so maybe that development project I had in mind on an existing property. So I think I'm a little unfamiliar with how people would typically source that funding, whether that's more of a commercial real estate proposition or something of that nature. But have you funded anything from ground up before?
Yeah. That's about half of what we do. Yeah.
Okay. So with due diligence for kind of a new person here, how do you see that? What would you want somebody who's new to the game to know and do the research on before they would come to you and say, hey, this is something I'm excited about?
So remind me your case in particular. So you've got an existing property that you're looking to divide and develop?
Pretty much. It's a quarter lot. It's existing multifamily zoned right now. And it's a duplex on about half the lot. And so it's about 12,000 square feet lot. So I would assume I have about half of that to work with. And I did talk to the city, just initial planning stages, and read the zoning and permitting rules, and it does look very possible. Which type of a property would be the most valuable as a rental? And it would be something I'd want to retain as a buy and hold, whether it's a duplex or possibly even more units.
Yeah. So we would look for a lot of due diligence with the city and county, like you mentioned, making sure that it fits with the zoning. We're going to do a lot of that ourselves too when we're looking at a project like that, making sure that you meet the minimum density standards if that's required in the city. Like in Springfield, for example, we are actually looking at a development where there was a single family house on a lot about that size, and it was medium density residential, but they had a minimum density requirement. And that basically blew up the whole deal because we would have had to demolish the house because the only way to really develop it was to get rid of the house and put up like 8 apartments. And so it was like, it didn't work out. But so we'd be looking for all of that probably in writing from the city. And even then we're skeptical of anything that the city says. Because they say one thing and then choose to do something else. Usually when we're doing developments like that, we're looking for the borrower to have experience or somebody on their team to have experience in development with an engineer lined up who's going to be helping them with the infrastructure, because that's a really complicated process to get that stuff approved. We're going to be looking at where the sewer hookups are, where the water lines are, where you're going to get your electricity, you know, how you're going to fit this type of density here, if that's even going to work. Because you might go to the city initially and they say, yeah, with the zoning, everything looks good. But then you do the engineering work of the infrastructure and they say, actually, you've got to plug in from a sewer line 500 meters that way or whatever it is. So one thing I encourage everybody to do is to get plans together, really detailed plans, and then do a pre-development conference at the city where you meet all the heads of each departments. And that only costs like, I think it's like $300 or $500 or something. And you get to meet with literally everybody and they just pick apart your plans and tell you if it works or not, or what it's going to cost. So looking for that to be done is really valuable.
So do you happen to have professionals?
I'm sorry?
I was just going to ask, so to get this thing kind of initially, to gather the information you discussed and maybe to have a structural engineer or somebody like that on a project, since you've worked with many, would you have references? You can mention them offline if you want, but.
Yeah, I could get you a list of some folks that we work with. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is like, it's a pretty big mountain to move like you're talking about. And I wouldn't want to invest a whole ton into it if it's just not feasible. So
yeah,
I still feel like maybe just helping me to get enough of that inertia overcome so that I can come to the city and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. And then let them tell me the options. And if that costs some money up front, that's okay. At least I'll know and I'll have the peace of mind to move forward or not, you know?
Yeah, so I just dropped my email in the chat. You can shoot me an email and I can give you some references.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Brad, did you have something?
I did. So do you have a pretty good real estate attorney that you use for all these problems that developers have? I run into a lot of problems with the city of Springfield saying one thing and then saying something else. And so I have some clients and they actually have done extremely well using an attorney by the name of Mike Reeder. I don't know if you know, he's a.
I have heard of Mike Reeder. We have an attorney that Stephen works with a lot, that he actually also invests in the fund. So he's kind of biased. And we work a lot with him. Howard Feynman.
I've heard his name.
Yeah, he's
an eye doctor, isn't he? Howard Feynman.
Howard.
Yeah, same name. Same name, but different guy.
Okay.
I think it might be spelled different too. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike Reeder has the number for the people down at Springfield, so he gets things done. He has for my clients anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. Stephen knows just about everybody with the city of Springfield, and when he walks in, they listen. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I know it's getting a little late. Any other last minute questions before we go? We all thank you, Zach.
Great information.
It was great. Super great.
Thank you, Zach.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody give happy applause.
Call you in the morning.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Thanks very much, Zach. We look forward to seeing you at the next meeting and so on and so on and so on. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thank you. Good night. It was so great to have you here, and come back again next Tuesday night. We have Marketing Masterminds with Dan Gandy. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.